Hi everyone, and welcome back and welcome to all of my lovely new subscribers. Great to have you here. I've got a prototype in front of me today. I was thinking about what I could do to use up some of my 12 by 12 papers the other day, and I sat down and this is what I came up with. So it's a kind of policy envelope folio which opens like this to put some nice things in. Has some slip pockets on the inside. Has a double pocket here, and then on the back we have the same policy envelope type thing. So that's what we're going to be making today. There's a little spine just to allow some room for the things that we are going to put inside. Now, I did as well make one without a spine. And the reason I did, this was the very first one that I did. The reason I did it without a spine is because I hate measuring. I'm no good at working in inches, and unfortunately on my scoreboard it's all inches. So I find that really tricky. I also just don't generally like to measure. I just like to fold bits of paper until they fit. So I thought by not using a spine and we're making it from a 12 by 12, it would be a lot easier for me to just fold it in half and work on a 6-inch in a 6-inch, if that makes sense. However, I actually do really like the spine. I think it looks neater. I think it looks a little bit more compact. So I'm going to show you the measurements. I'm going to show you how to make the one with the spine today. Now, because I am useless at measuring, I have made myself a cheat sheet. I've written down step by step all the measurements that I need and what to do. So I'll show those on the screen as well. I have seen, here's the first sheet, so here's the first page. I've seen Natasha at Treasure Books do things similar to this, and it does actually really help me in following her tutorials when she's doing measuring and scoring. So I'm going to follow her lead on that and do a little cheat sheet for myself throughout the video. And then if you need a little bit of guidance too, obviously it's there for you as well. My analytics have come through on my channel. And it turns out that most of you are from America, which is great. I didn't realise. I keep going on about UK shops and the Works and Morrison's and Tesco's, thinking that you were from the UK, and most of you are actually from America. So you will probably know better than me about inches. You know, if I've made a mistake in this video, let me know and I will correct it. Because as I say, you will be used to working in inches. I'm not, but I'm going to do my best. So let's get into making this folio. We're going to make the folio from 2 pieces of 12 by 12. Now, I would recommend the piece that you are using to make your folio base, I would recommend that that is double-sided, if at all possible, and that little bit thicker, just so it gives some support, because we are going to be doing a little bit of cutting on the spine. If you don't have a double-sided piece, or your piece of paper is a little bit thin, you could always either back your piece of paper with some collage sheets or similar, or stick 2 together to make a double-sided sheet, and you could strengthen it up that way. So we're starting off with 2 pieces of 12 by 12. So I've got this one here, which is, I bet I can't fit you all on, but so we've got a nice floral pattern here, and it's darker on this side. And then my second piece, I've chosen something which I think will coordinate and work nicely with it, and that's going to be used for my pockets and for my slits and things like that. So I'm going to put this second piece to one side for now, and we are just going to work with our double-sided first piece, which is going to be our folio base. So let's have a look at the first instruction. If you want to take a screenshot of that sheet, do that now. I'll leave it on there for a few seconds. And the first thing we are going to do with our 12 by 12 is make a spine. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard and then I will be back with you. Okay, so I've got my 12 by 12 here on my scoreboard, and the first thing we're going to do is create the spine. And to do that, we're going to score at 5 7/8 and 6 1/8. So instead of just scoring straight down the middle at 6, we're going to go in 1/8 either side. So 5 7/8 is there. So let's score down there. Trying to keep straight, I can't see very well. So 5 7/8, just going to give that a couple of scores there, and then 6 1/8. And this will just give us a little bit of a spine. Now you might not be able to see, I can't see very clearly either. But once I fold it, you should be able to. Okay, so that's our score. That's our spine scored. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the bottom flap and the top flap. This bottom flap is 3 inches. This top flap is 2 inches. So we're going to score from the bottom of our paper, we're going to turn it round, and we're going to score 3 from the bottom, first of all. Now at this point, I would just double check to see if you have a directional print on your paper, because if you do, you will have to have a think about whether you want, because obviously we're starting like this, you need to have a think about whether you want your flap, because it folds back on itself, you're going to have one, either the bottom or the top, which is upside down. So if you've got a certain direction to your paper, either avoid it altogether or have a think about which one you want as your top and bottom. It doesn't matter for me because there's no direction to it. So I'm just going to make this 3-inch score now from the bottom, which is there. I'm going to turn it round and do a 2-inch, which will be my top. Okay, so we scored vertically 5 7/8, 6 1/8 to make our spine. We decided which we wanted to be our bottom. We scored at 3, we turned it around and we scored at 2 to make our top flap. So that's all the scoring that we need to do done for the moment. Right, so now that we are all scored, what we need to do is make our folds along those score lines. So we're going to work on those 2 vertical creases first to define our spine. So I'm just going to find one of those folds and go along with my bone folder. Then I'm going to get the other one, find the other one, press along the other one, go along that with my bone folder as well. And that should give you your little spine there. Okay? So that's that. Now get it back out flat again and have it so that your 3 inches is at the bottom and your 2 inches are at the top. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold this 3-inch bit at the bottom. We're going to fold it up and just give it a once over with the bone folder just to make it nice and defined. So fold up, and this is where you can see what I meant. If you had directional paper, it may be upside down if you haven't checked which way you want it. The best thing to do is just to get something like I have, where it doesn't matter which way your pattern is facing. So we've done that. And now what we are going to do is cut out this bit of the spine here, because we need, if I open this out, because we need a gap here to be able to move those flaps where we want them to go. Okay, so we're going to cut this middle bit out of the spine from the bottom on this 3-inch bit. You can see it here. You hopefully should be able to see two very, if I get the lights correct, two very faint lines coming down. We're going to snip that off. Now I can see where my lines are here as well. I can see easier from the back on the black. So I'm going to just cut it from this way around. I'm just going to do it with scissors. You might choose to do it with a craft knife. And I'm just going to go either side of the score line. And I'm not going to bother tapering it in at an angle or anything. I'm just going to go either side of where I've scored. Just kind of get it as straight as you can. Chop it off there. And then if you turn it back round again, that's allowed you to fold those two bottoms in. Okay. Next, we're going to do exactly the same thing at the top. So we're going to fold this down. Give it a crease with your bone folder, and again we're going to cut out this section here. So on the diagram it's this section here. Okay, so again just going to snip either side of where I've scored. I'm trying to get it straight, but I'm not, I'm not worrying about it too much if it goes a bit wonky. Like I said in a few videos back, no one's going to go mad at a slightly wonky line. Okay, so we're left with that, and we should be able to do this and then fold it like that with our spine. Okay, and that's made our front and back of our like policy folio type thing that we are making. Okay, so I've put here on these instructions, fold one flap to the front and one flap to the back, and there's a little diagram there as well. And that we shouldn't have any flaps on the inside, which we don't, okay, because that's where we're going to put our pockets. Optional is if you want to, which I have, round your corners and do some inking. Okay, so I just went ahead off camera and inked all around mine and the spine and rounded my corners. All right, now you'll see on here that we've got our closures. We'll work on those after we've done the inside, because it gets a little bit bumpy with having our brads. if they're already in place, it can be a little bit tricky. Just not tricky, but it's just better to have a flat surface to work on. So we'll sort those out at the end. So now we should have our folio ready to go. Scored, folded, cut, edges rounded and inked, and we can start work now on the inside pocket. Now, I haven't actually done any instructions for the inside because it kind of just depends on what it is you want to do, how many pockets you want, where you want to put your pockets, what shape you want your pockets to be. So although I did that prototype, I mean, that was just to give us an idea really of what we could do. You don't necessarily need to do, you know, what I've done at all. So what you will need is we'll work on this side first. So that's your left side as we're looking at it. If you want to do the slit pockets that I did in my prototype, you are going to need a back piece cut to fit inside your panel here, and you are going to need 2 smaller bits that fit on there. You might do narrower ones and have 3 of them, that's up to you as well, but you just need a back panel and some smaller panels because these are the ones we're going to put the slits into. And then you need to stick your smaller panels onto your larger panels first. Before you make any slits, get these panels stuck onto here first. So once you've got your smaller panels stuck onto your larger panel, this is where we're going to make a slit. Now, to make the slit, you will need a crocodile or a hole punch. You will need a ruler and you will need a craft knife. Now, you can either choose to measure or you could choose to eyeball. It's entirely up to you, whatever you feel best. I've just given myself a little bit of a guide. So you can see I've made 2 dots here and join them with a line, and I've done that on both panels. And all I'm going to do is get this and cut a hole here, another one here, one there, and one there. And to make the slits, what we are going to do is put our ruler on just under where we've drawn a line, or if you haven't drawn a line, just below centre. And we're going to use our penknife to go from one end to the other. I like to go over it a few times just to make sure it's nicely cut, especially because you're going through quite a number of layers of paper, depending on how thick your cardstock is. So that hopefully has gone through. Yeah, so we've got our line there. And then go slightly above this time. Slightly above your line, because that will leave us our slit. And hopefully that will just pop out. Okay, and there we've got our slit. So I'm going to do the other one and then I'll come back to you. I can't remember if I said that now we're working with our second sheet of scrapbooking paper, but if I didn't say it, then we're using our second sheet of 12 by 12 now to make these pockets on the inside. So once you've got your panels stuck onto your back piece and you've done your holes and you've made your slits, the next thing that you need to do is take some of your cut-offs from your 12 by 12, your second piece, turn it over, and we're going to use these bits to make an envelope. we're going to stick it down there so that should you put something in to your envelope, we block it off so that the thing can't fall all the way through. If we didn't have anything there, we could lose what we're putting in. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. So I have cut a piece from my cut-offs just to cover each slit. So I've got 2 bits, they're the same width, and I'm going to put some glue all the way around, and I'm going to do it so that I can see this pattern through. Put some glue all the way around. Just a bit. And I'm going to stick it more towards the bottom to give me depth I should say, for my, for my things to sit. So that's going to go onto there. Same again on here. And again, I'm going to put it further this way to give the pocket some depth. And then we want to put glue over the whole thing and stick the whole thing back down onto here. So I'm just going to get that done and then I'll pop back. Now we can make a start on this side of our folio. Now if you are like me and you don't have a lot of your second scrapbook paper left because you've made lots and lots of mistakes, then this is where you may have to improvise a little bit like I've done. So as you can see, this is what I'm going for, which is very different to the pockets I've put on here. But again, just do what you fancy doing. It doesn't have to be the same every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this piece on as a pocket on 3 sides. I've obviously cut my notch out already and inked. Okay, so that will go down on 3 sides. I'm just going to line it up so it's got the same amount-ish from the bottom as that. Just get a piece of tissue to wipe that glue away. I've got a spare one of these, so I thought what I would do is glue on 3 sides so that I can put things in from the top, and also I can put some extra things in through the slit as well. I'm not going to bother with a notch. I'm just going to pop that down. And if you have none of your scrapbook paper left at all, just use another piece or a scrap. I just said 2 pieces of 12 by 12 because it's just what I was using, but anything goes really. Just mix and match, mix it up a little bit, just whatever you fancy doing. So that middled, centralised I should say, I don't even know if middled a word. Get that centralised, and then I'm going to pop that down there as a little extra pocket. So I'll stick that on 3 sides as well. Oops. Pop that down. That's it about there. Okay, so there's our inside done, and while that dries we can work on our closures. So I started to cut out and attach my closures. All I did to make my closures was to cut out some circles from an old book page and from some of the scrapbook cut-offs. I've stuck 2 book pages together with the scrapbook paper on top, and then I lined up where I wanted to put the circle, lined it up like that, used my awl to make a hole through, and then all we're going to do is put 2 of these page protectors on the back. Now this is a little trick I saw, and I can't remember where, but it will just add a little bit of extra bulk to give you some space underneath to allow you to wrap the string. So I'm going to pop that in there now, this brad, make my hole a little bit bigger. So that's going to go through. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. There we go. That's going to go through there. This is going to go, and just going to make that hole a bit bigger as well. That's going to go through there. And then we'll just secure it at the end, at the back, sorry. Like so. So let's get it all back folded to where it needs to be. This is how the front's looking. This is the inside. And this is the back. So we just need to now find some string to loop around, and then our folio is done. And then perhaps, depending on how long I've already been waffling on for, we might have a little bit of time to do some decorating. So I found some black and white twine, and I've put that on as a closure, front and back. And here is the inside, and we're all finished. So I think actually what I may do is decorate this next video, next Friday, and then I can spend a little bit of time finding some bits and bobs and working out what I want to do with it. But I just wanted to show you quickly some others that I've made. This is one that I did from an old book page. I've made it in exactly the same way, and inside I have put some slits there, little pocket, little belly band, and there's a pocket there. And this is one that I made from just a coffee dyed piece of paper, which was my favourite one to make because I didn't do any measuring. I just folded it in half, and then obviously you can see it's not finished, but I folded it in half and then just cut things to size, you know, how they suited me. So I think I might use this as a blank for one of my winter ephemera pieces, perhaps. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's another option, is to use just your coffee dyed paper. I wouldn't suggest doing a spine because I don't think it's got the strength. This book page, I did do a spine, but it's quite a thick book page, so I felt like it could handle it. But yeah, those are some examples that you can do and some different variations. As I say, we will come back next week and decorate these up a little bit, and I may have a few more examples to show you then as well. So until then, take care. I hope that I explain this clearly and that the instructions that I wrote on the piece of paper were nice and clear. If not, apologies. Let me know if you would like me to put the instructions up on Ko-fi, and I can do that. So then if you want to download them and keep them, you've got them there. You can print them from my Ko-fi page. So just let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like me to do. Until then, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.